Section 6. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Handy Cyclopedia of Things Worth Knowing by Joseph Tremans, published in 1911. Section 6. Hints on Shaving. Learn to shave right. Don't shave in a hurry. Have the water hot enough so that it won't cool too quickly. Wash the face with soap and hot water before lathering, especially if the beard is hard. Have the lather very soapy, thin enough to spread easily, yet thick enough so it won't drop. Rub well into the face with a brush, then with the fingers. The longer you lather and the more you rub, the easier the shave. The hair usually grows downward. Shave with the grain, not against it. Use a sliding motion as well as downward. If you get a nick, wash with cold water. Rubbing the cut with a piece of lump alum will stop the bleeding at once and help to heal. Hold the razor properly. Lay it as flat as possible, the back of the razor nearly touching the skin. Have it under easy control. Don't grab it. An easy position means an easy shave. A poor strop will spoil the best razor ever made. To buy a good razor and a cheap strop is poor economy. If you prefer a swing strop, pull it as tightly as you can. Better use a stiff strop, cushion or solid, if in doubt. A serious mistake made by a number of self-shavers is to hold the strop loose. This bends the invisible teeth and rounds the edge. Strop your razor before and after shaving. This keeps the edge free from rust. Dip your razor in hot water before stropping and shaving. This dissolves the accumulation in the invisible teeth. Press as hard as you like on the back of the blade, but very lightly on the edge. As you reach the end of the strop, turn the razor on the back of the blade to strop the other side, pulling toward you. Keep rust away from your strop, and remember that a cut in the strop will ruin your razor. Don't use a strop that is cut. Facts to settle arguments. Telephone invented, 1861. There are 2,750 languages. Sound moves 743 miles per hour. Hawks can fly 150 miles per hour. Chinese invented paper, 170 BC. A hand, horse measure, is 4 inches. German Empire re-established, 1871. Storm clouds move 36 miles an hour. The first steel pen was made in 1830. Phonographs invented by Edison, 1877. Light moves 187,000 miles per second. Watches were first constructed in 1476. First steamer crossed the Atlantic, 1819. Rome was founded by Romulus, 752 BC. First musical notes used, 1338. Printed, 1502. The first Atlantic cable was operated in 1858. The first balloon ascended from Lyon, France, 1783. Slow rivers flow at the rate of 0.7 of a mile per hour. Napoleon I crowned Emperor, 1804. Died at St. Helena, 1820. Harvard, the oldest college in the United States, was founded 1638. The first steam engine on this continent was brought from England, 1753. The most extensive park is Deer Park in Denmark. It contains 4,200 acres. Measure 209 feet on each side, and you will have a square acre to an inch. Albert Dürer gave the world a prophecy of future wood engraving in 1527. The first iron ore discovered in this country was found in Virginia in 1715. Bravest of the Brave was the title given to Marshal Ney at Friedland, 1807. The highest bridge in the world, 360 feet from the surface of the water, is over a gorge at Constantine in Algiers. The first volunteer fire company in the United States was at Philadelphia, 1736. St. Augustine, oldest city in the United States, founded by the Spaniards, 1565. Jamestown, Virginia, founded 1607. First permanent English settlement in America. Books, in their present form, were invented by Attalus, king of Pergamos, 198 B.C. Robert Raikes established the first Sunday school at Gloucester, England, 1781. Oberlin College, Ohio, was the first in the United States that admitted female students. The first knives were used in England, and the first wheeled carriages in France in 1559. The largest park in the United States is Fairmont at Philadelphia and contains 2.740 acres. The highest natural bridge in the world is at Rockbridge, Virginia, being 200 feet high to the bottom of the arch. The largest empire in the world is that of Great Britain, being 8,557,658 square miles, and more than a sixth part of the globe. The first electrical signal ever transmitted between Europe and America passed over the Field submarine cable on August 5, 1858. Paris was known as Lutetia until 1184, when the name of the great French capital was changed to that which it has borne ever since. The longest tunnel in the world is St. Gothard, on the line of the railroad between Lucerne and Milan, being 9½ miles in length. Burnt brick were known to have been used in building the Tower of Babel. They were introduced into England by the Romans. The loftiest active volcano is Popocatépetl. It is 17,784 feet high, and has a crater 3 miles in circumference and 1,000 feet deep. The largest insurance company in the world is the Mutual Life of New York City, having cash and real estate assets of over $350 million. The Latin tongue became obsolete about 580. The value of a ton of pure gold is $602,799.21. First authentic use of organs, 755. In England, 951. Ether was first used for surgical purposes in 1844. Ignatius Loyola founded the Order of Jesuits, 1541. The first newspaper advertisement appeared in 1652. Benjamin Franklin used the first lightning rods, 1752. Glass windows, colored, were used in the 8th century. The largest desert is Sahara in northern Africa. Its length is 3,000 miles and breadth 900 miles, having an area of 2 million square miles. The most remarkable echo known is that in the castle of Simonetta, 2 miles from Milan. It repeats the echo of a pistol shot 60 times. The first deaf and dumb asylum was founded in England by Thomas Braidwood, 1760, and the first in the United States was at Hartford, 1817. The largest diamond in the world is the Braganza, being part of the Portuguese jewels. It weighs 1,880 carats. It was found in Brazil in 1741. The Valley of Death, in the island of Java, is simply the crater of an extinct volcano, filled with carbonic acid gas. It is half a mile in circumference. The grade of titles in Great Britain stands in the following order from the highest: a prince, duke, marquis, earl, viscount, baron, baronet, knight. The city of Amsterdam, Holland, is built upon piles driven into the ground. It is intersected by numerous canals, crossed by nearly 300 bridges. Coal was used as fuel in England as early as 852, and in 1234 the first charter to dig it was granted by Henry III to the inhabitants of Newcastle on Tyne. The present national colors of the United States were not adopted by Congress until 1777. The flag was first used by Washington at Cambridge, January 1, 1776. Tobacco was discovered in San Domingo in 1496, afterwards by the Spaniards in Yucatan in 1520. It was introduced into France in 1560 and into England in 1583. Kerosene was first used for illuminating in 1826. Cork is the bark taken from a species of the oak tree. National banks first established in the United States, 1816. Introduction of homeopathy into the United States, 1825. Egyptian pottery is the oldest known. Dates from 2000 B.C. Authentic history of China commenced 3000 years B.C. The largest free territorial government is the United States. The Chaldeans were the first people who worked in metals. Spectacles were invented by an Italian in the 13th century. Soap was first manufactured in England in the 16th century. Julius Caesar invaded Britain 55 B.C., assassinated 44 B.C. Medicine was introduced into Rome from Greece 200 B.C. The first electric telegraph, Paddington to Brayton, England, 1835. First photographs produced in England, 1802. Perfected, 1841. First life insurance, in London, 1772. In America, Philadelphia, 1812. Slavery in the United States was begun at Jamestown, Virginia, in 1619. The highest denomination of legal tender notes in the United States is $10,000. Postage stamps first came into use in England in the year 1840, and the United States in 1847. The highest range of mountains are the Himalayas, the mean elevation being from 16,000 to 18,000 feet. The term "almighty dollar" originated with Washington Irving as a satire on the American love for gain. The largest inland sea is the Caspian, between Europe and Asia, being 700 miles long and 270 miles wide. A span is 10 7/8 inches. First watches made in Nuremberg, 1476. Pianoforte invented in Italy about 1710. The value of a ton of silver is $37,704.84. French and Indian War in America, 1754. A hurricane moves 80 miles per hour. Coaches were first used in England in 1569. The first horse railroad was built in 1826-1827. Electricity moves 288,000 miles per second. Modern needles first came into use in 1545. The average human life is 33 years. French Revolution, 1789. Reign of Terror, 1793. $1 million gold coin weighs 3,685.8 pounds of avoirdupois. Mormons arrived at Salt Lake Valley, Utah, July 24, 1847. The largest cavern in the world is the Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. Experiments in electric lighting by Thomas A. Edison, 1878–80. Daguerre and Nieper invented the process of daguerreotype, 1839. First American library founded at Harvard College, Cambridge, 1638. First cotton raised in the United States was in Virginia in 1621. First exported, 1747. First sugar cane cultivated in the United States near New Orleans, 1751. First sugar mill, 1758. First telegraph in operation in America was between Washington and Baltimore, May 27, 1844. The largest university is Oxford in England. It consists of 21 colleges and 5 halls. The first illumination with gas was in Cornwall, England, 1792. In the United States, at Boston, 1822. Printing was known in China in the 6th century. Introduced into England about 1474. America, 1516. The Great Wall of China, built 200 B.C., is 1,250 miles in length, 20 feet high, and 25 feet thick at the base. Glass mirrors first made by Venetians in the 13th century. Polished metal was used before that time. Meerschaum means froth of the sea. It is white and soft when dug from the earth, but soon hardens. In round numbers, the weight of $1 million in standard gold coin is 1 3/4 tons. Standard silver coin, 26 3/4 tons. Subsidiary silver coin, 25 tons. Minor coin, 5-cent nickel, 100 tons. The highest monument in the world is the Washington Monument, being 555 feet. The highest structure of any kind is the Eiffel Tower, Paris, finished in 1889 and 989 feet high. There has been no irregularity in the recurrence of leap year every 4 years since 1800, except in 1900, which was a common year, although it came forth after the preceding leap year. It is claimed that crows, eagles, ravens, and swans live to be 100 years old. Herons, 59. Parrots, 60. Pelicans and geese, 50. Skylarks, 30. Sparrowhawks, 40. Peacocks, canaries, and cranes, 24. The greatest cataract in the world is Niagara, the height of the American Falls being 165 feet. The highest fall of water in the world is that of the Yosemite in California, being 2,550 feet. The most ancient catacombs are those of the Theban kings, begun 4,000 years ago. The catacombs of Rome contain the remains of about 6 million human beings. Those of Paris, 3 million. The first English newspaper was the English Mercury, issued in the reign of Queen Elizabeth, and was issued in the shape of a pamphlet. The Gazette of Venice was the original model of the modern newspaper. The Great Eastern, at one time the greatest steamer afloat, and twice as long as any other vessel at the time of her launching in 1858, was 692 feet in length and 118 feet in breadth. She was too large to be handled profitably with the motive power then available, but proved indispensable in the laying of the Atlantic cable. she was broken up and sold as junk, although the Isherwood system, on which she was built, has since been revived, and is now successfully employed in shipbuilding. The 7 sages flourished in Greece in the 6th century B.C. They were renowned for their maxims of life, and as the authors of the mottos described in the Delphian temple. Their names are Solon, Chilo, Pittacus, Bias, Periander, Cleobulus, and Thales. A monkey wrench is not so named because it is a handy thing to monkey with, or for any kindred reason. Monkey is not its name at all, but monkey. Charles Monkey, the inventor of it, sold his patent for $2,000, and invested the money in a house in Williamsburg, Kings County, New York. The 7 wonders of the world are 7 most remarkable objects of the ancient world. They are the pyramids of Egypt, pharaohs of Alexandria, walls and hanging gardens of Babylon, temple of Diana at Ephesus, the statue of the Olympian Jupiter, mausoleum of Artemisia, and Colossus of Rhodes. In 1775 there were only 27 newspapers published in the United States. 10 years later, in 1785, there were 7 published in the English language in Philadelphia alone, of which 1 was a daily. The oldest newspaper published in Philadelphia at the time of the Federal Convention was the Pennsylvania Gazette, established by Samuel Keimer in 1728. The second newspaper, in point of age, was the Pennsylvania Journal, established in 1742 by William Bradford, whose uncle, Andrew Bradford, established the first newspaper in Pennsylvania, the American Weekly Mercury, in 1719. Next in age, but the first in importance, was the Pennsylvania Packet, established by John Dunlap in 1771. In 1784 it became a daily, being the first daily newspaper printed on this continent. Liberty, Bartholdi's statue, presented to the United States by the French people in 1885, is the largest statue ever built. Its conception is due to the great French sculptor whose name it bears. It is said to be a likeness of his mother. 8 years of time were consumed in the construction of this gigantic brazen image. Its weight is 440,000 pounds, of which 146,000 pounds are copper, the remainder iron and steel. The major part of the iron and steel was used in constructing the skeleton framework for the inside. The mammoth electric light held in the hands of the giantess is 305 feet above tide water. The height of the figure is 152.5 feet, the pedestal 91 feet, and the foundation 52 feet and 10 inches. 40 persons can find standing room within the mighty head, which is 14.5 feet in diameter. A 6-foot man standing on the lower lip could hardly reach the eyes. The index finger is 8 feet in length, and the nose 3 3/4 feet. The Colossus of Rhodes was a pygmy compared with this latter-day wonder. The largest and grandest temple of worship in the world is St. Peter's Cathedral at Rome. It stands on the site of Nero's Circus in the northwest part of the city, and is built in form of a Latin cross. The total length of the interior is 612.5 English feet, transept 446.5 feet, height of nave 152.5 feet, diameter of cupola 193 feet, height of dome from pavement to top of cross 448 feet. The great bell alone, without the hammer or clapper, weighs 18,600 pounds, or over 9¼ tons. The foundation was laid in 1450 A.D. 43 popes lived and died during the time the work was in progress. It was dedicated in the year 1826, but not entirely finished until the year 1880. The cost, in round numbers, is set down at $70 million. The Great Pyramid of Cheops is the largest structure of any kind ever erected by the hand of man. Its original dimensions at the base were 764 feet square, and its perpendicular height in the highest point 488 feet. It covers 4 acres, 1 rood and 22 perches of ground, and has been estimated by an eminent English architect to have cost not less than £30 million, which in United States currency would be about $145,200,000. Internal evidence proves that the Great Pyramid was begun around the year 2170 B.C., about the time of the birth of Abraham. It is estimated that about 5 million tons of hewn stone were used in its construction, and the evidence points to the fact that these stones were brought a distance of about 700 miles from quarries in Arabia. The largest body of fresh water in the world is Lake Superior. It is 400 miles long and 180 miles wide. Its circumference, including the winding of its various bays, has been estimated at 1,800 miles. Its area in square miles is 32,000, which is greater than the whole of New England, leaving out Maine. The greatest depth of this inland sea is 200 fathoms, or 1,200 feet. Its average depth is about 160 fathoms. It is 636 feet above the sea level. The cornerstone of the Washington Monument, the highest in the United States, and until 1889 the highest structure in the world, was laid July 4, 1848. Robert E. Winthrop, then Speaker of the House, delivered the oration. Work progressed steadily for about 6 years, until the funds of the Monumental Society became exhausted. At that time the monument was about 175 feet high. From 1854 until 1879 nothing to speak of was done on the building. In the year last above named, Congress voted an appropriation of $200,000 to complete the work. From that time forward work progressed at a rapid rate until December 6, 1884, when the aluminum apex was set at 555 feet 5½ inches from the foundation, and the work declared finished. The foundation is 146½ feet square. Number of stones used above the 130-foot level, 19,163. Total weight stone used in work, 81,120 tons. The largest state in our Grand Republic is Texas, which contains 274,350 square miles, capable of sustaining 20 million people, and then it would not be more crowded than Scotland is at present. It has been estimated that the entire population of the globe could be seated upon chairs within the boundary of Texas, and each have 4 feet of elbow room. The Mississippi River, from the source of the Missouri to the Eads jetties, is the longest river in the world. It is 4,300 miles in length, and drains an area of 1,726,000 square miles. The Amazon, which is without doubt the widest river in the world, including the Beni, is 4,000 miles in length, and drains 2,330,000 square miles of territory. End of Section 6. Recorded by Andrew LeBrun, Boston, Massachusetts.